Happy Saturday morning and welcome back to Scale Auto Guys Workbench. Today I might be biting off a little bit more than I can chew, but I've heard a lot of complaints about this kit over the years. It was recently in a haul video that I've done, and well, it's the MPC 67 Pontiac GTO. This car looks like it's going to be a nice build when it's finished, but I've been told it's got some fitment issues, and we're going to find out together. So first up, let's take a look at that wonderful body. Now, it doesn't look too bad on first glance, but when you start looking at it a little bit closer, especially back here, you notice that there's quite a bit of a ridge there, and as well as on the body side. I know that that's supposed to be like that, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be that sharp. There is some mold lines, like in this area here and here. It's hard to see them, but you can feel them right there on each side, and that'll take a little bit of time to clean up. This does look like it's possibly a screw bottom car, but when you look at the chassis, there's only pins in the back and none in the front. That could be a good thing or a bad thing, considering. It makes me think of the Torino Cobra. The 69 Torino Cobra had a similar kind of things, but no pins, obviously, but nothing lined up. So I had to make modifications on that car to get it all to come together. Overall, the body doesn't look that bad. It looks pretty good. There's just very minimal flash that needs to be taken care of on the body. Next up is your interior tub. It has molded in seat belts, and it's got a textured floor to simulate carpeting. The door details are a little light. They could have been a little bit better, but this is going off of an old mold, so it doesn't surprise me. Now here's your chassis, and like I said, it has alignment pins in the back, and it looks like it used to be a screw bottom car, but they modified it. But you notice there's no pins up here for the front end, so that kind of fits in there a little bit sloppy, but that's not a huge deal breaker. It does have some, where it was on the tree, on the sprue tree, so you have to clean those up, and there's a little bit on this side as well. It does come with a independent suspension. Well, I wouldn't say independent suspension, a not molded in suspension, however you want to call that, but it also comes with pre-drilled holes here, so it's pretty much kind of a set height, if you will, as far as the ride goes. That I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look at it after I get the wheels and tires on it to see how it sits. If it sits kind of low in the back, of course I'm going to have to do something like maybe possibly drilling holes lower, filling these holes and then re-drilling holes further down to pick up the back end just a little bit. You're not going to get a whole bunch of height out of that. At best, maybe an eighth of an inch, not even an eighth of an inch, maybe a 16th of an inch. But that sometimes, even that little bit can make a difference. So there's your chassis. Let's set that over there. And note, there's no alignment pins. There are holes here in the floor I'm assuming that's for a roll cage, but yeah, that's for a roll cage. So normally those would be filled in and you'd have to drill them out. MPC just had them there. But yeah, there's no alignment pins or anything for that interior tub. And when I test fitted it into the body, yeah, the interior did kind of slop around there. Even though it's got the lugs on the back here, there are no pins on the body to align that to. Next up, this was just a free floater in the bag, is the dash, and it's going to need some cleanup. It does have a bit of flash on it, but that's, you know, that's not too bad. I've seen worse. Your next tree is your engine components. Notice the lack of transmission here. Oh, wait a minute, because it's over here. I didn't see that earlier. I just saw the engine block and I noticed that it didn't have a transmission, and I must have been holding it something stupid like this, so I didn't see the transmission because I had my fat thumb over it. But there it is. GTO grill inserts. I don't know why they have grill inserts here, because the grill on the chrome tree, and I'll show you that in a minute, is fully intact, just like in the box art. So I'm not sure what those are there for, but we'll figure it out. Oh, and it gives you two different sets of seats. Those are like racing buckets, and then it gives you the stock bucket seats. And these do need a little bit of cleanup. There's some flash back there. Here's your rear end and your exhaust assembly. That's a little bit warped. Not a big deal, you know. Once you get it in place and glue it down, it should be fine. Next up is your headrests for your stock seats, and they give you these spacers here. I'm guessing those would be on the back, because those pins here would probably go in the holes in the back of the chassis, and then you can put your single metal axle that they give you through that, and it would kind of lift the rear end just a little bit. These are your headrest backs, I'm assuming, because it does have the arms. Yeah, it looks like they'll go on there. Only gives you the stock steering wheel. That's cool. It gives you a host of go fast parts, but they didn't do much for the interior. Now, this is one of two hoods that they provide in the kit, and your firewall and your wheel pins for the front wheels. This is not a pass-through scoop. That's solidly closed in there, and there is a little bit of flash around the edge that just need, you hit it with a sanding stick and you're good to go on that. Here's the other optional hood. I kind of like the hood scoop. I'm not sure if I'm going to build a version that would require that yet or not, but I do like the fact that they have the tachometer molded into the hood, so that's kind of cool. But it leaves a big divot on the bottom side of the hood, so can't have them all. Next up is your single metal axle. I'm going to leave that right in the bag, because if I take it out, it'll be gone. It'll just disappear. Next up is your one-piece glass, again with the alignment lugs to match the interior tub, but like I said, there's nothing back here to use those for. These ones here go to your chassis. So that might you know, after you put the glass in, that might give you a reference point to the interior tub to attach it to the body. So cross that bridge when we come to it. Here's the tail lights. Oops. Next up, where did I put that? Here we go. Here's your chrome tree. Like I said, the GTO grill is fully intact there. So I don't know why they give you those inserts. I guess it's just to give it a little bit different appearance. Maybe it was part of a like a drag version of this car that they came out with, and you know, it's just an extra added part. I don't know. It does give you 2 sets of wheels. The stock, I guess they're kind of like a Magnum 500 wheel, but that's a Chrysler thing. And then they give you these turbine wheels. I do like those. And they're all the same height. Gives you side pipes, and it gives you the intake, the stock one, but it also gives you like a blower and the intake for that as well. Nice chrome headers. I like those a lot. And I don't know that those could be adapted to, say, like if you were building this car, you know, you were actually building the full-size car, you could put headers on it and match it to the stock exhaust system. Well, in this kit, I'm not sure if that can be done with these. I don't see why you couldn't, but it would take a little bit of work, and I'm not opposed to that. So there you go. That's all the parts that are involved in this kit. Oh, and I'm sorry, I did forget one thing. The tires. This is the only set of tires that come in the kit. They are Goodyear branded. They're semi-hollow. They're hard out towards the edge, but they are kind of hollow on the inside. They're not real pliable, and that's okay. But that's the only set of tires they give you for this car. Next up is your decal sheet. It does give you one set of license plates and a couple of different striping packages. So, not sure which one I'm going to use, if I'm going to use them. I typically don't like using decals. I do it at a minimal if I have to do them. Alright. Here's something that I find interesting. I've seen this in other kits in the past. I just find it interesting that they still do this. You have multiple language instruction sheets. I'm not done. Hold on. But the only one that's important to me at this point is this last one. So yeah, 6 different instruction sheets. I understand why they do that, because not everybody that's buying these kits is, you know, speak English or read English. Typically you don't see that in an American car kit. Not trying to be arrogant or anything like that. It's just unusual to see so many in a different language. So I find that to be somewhat unique and kind of cool at the same time. So they're all inclusive in that realm. Okay, how does that come apart? Okay. there we go. It's yeah, like I said, that those little spacers, now they're showing 2 holes in this back here, but as I showed you in the chassis, there's only 1 hole. But yeah, I'm not sure why they're showing that like that. And they're saying it is optional and calling them riser blocks, so I guess you can raise the rear end of the car using those. So let's take a look at the back side here. It just shows the final assembly. I do like those turbine wheels, though. I think I'm going to use those. So there you are, the 67 Pontiac GTO by MPC. This one doesn't look, at this standpoint, it doesn't look like it's going to be super difficult to build. Although I'm going to do a lot of test fitting. I've been told, well, I've read, let me put it that way, I've read comments about this kit where they're talking about the grill and bumper assembly doesn't fit into the body the way it's supposed to, and that it required a good bit of sanding to get it to fit. So before I even do any primer or any kind of paint on this, I'm going to test fit that front bumper and grill assembly in the body, see what it needs, and we'll go from there. So let's get started on this. I took a little bit of a break from the camera and I worked on this body, and the rumors, the conversations are true. This grill fits very poorly into that opening, but with a little help of my Dremel, a whole bunch of sanding sticks, and a little help from the X-Acto knife, this is about as good as I'm going to get it. It's not really shaped correctly on the top corners there, and this one here was like a short shot or something. If you notice, there's a little bit more chrome on this side, right in this area here, than there is on this side, right, especially over that top headlight. It's a little short shot, but that is about as close as I'm going to get it to fit. And I grinded on that thing for half an hour, a little more. I removed a whole bunch of material in this area, a little bit from in here on the edge here, and I think I may have overdone it just a little bit, but I figured if I removed this, I could push that whole assembly up a little bit. And I did take a little bit off of the bottom of this, even though this isn't really consequential, because when you look at the grill assembly, there's a big hole right there, and it kind of sits behind it a little bit, so it's really kind of inconsequential there. I didn't want to remove anything off of the top of these because it's already too thin as it is, so I concentrated on removing from this area, which was considerably thicker. And of course I got the hood taped in place. I'm getting ready to go over and start shooting some primer, but there we go. The rest of the body was perfect. There wasn't any flash or any mold lines or anything like that to be concerned about. I already pre-washed the body, so that's not a concern. I do have to blow it off though, because I do have some pet hair that's stuck to a lot of the parts. It's amazing how much static cling comes with this plastic. So anyway, yeah, I just removed a whole bunch in this area here to get that grill to push up in place. I don't anticipate anything on the rear end. I didn't even mess with that. Now, on the chassis, I did put those blocks in place. I figure worst case scenario, if the rear end becomes difficult, and I think it's going to, and I'll show you that in just a little bit, but if it gets to be too much, I can drill out a hole. You know, this is the stock hole here, but on the back side of this block there's a pin that goes in that hole, so you can align it. Well, I've got that all put in place, but I figure if this puts it up too high, I can always go in here and drill a hole in right about in this area here, which is about halfway between the existing stock hole and this hole, and adjust that rear end height. Now, in my test fitting, I did notice that when you put this in place, it sits up on top of those blocks, or you can kind of squeeze it down in between, but it is difficult to do. First of all, see, I got it in there. I didn't get it quite right. This is supposed to go underneath that cross member, but you get the general idea. When you do that, then this part here blocks the hole for the axle. So when you put the axle in there, you can't push it down like that. So it has to sit up here. Well, that creates another issue. Getting these, the trailing arms there, to get those to lock in. And when you get those to lock in, then it looks kind of goofy. So I might end up just kind of grinding off this this little lip right here. There's one on each side. I may end up grinding that off just to make this just one straight piece. But I'm still going to have to contend with the axle going through there and, you know, getting this to go down in place. So it's going to be kind of tricky. If I leave it like this on top of those blocks, then there's this humongous gap between the chassis and the exhaust pipes, which looks kind of off. The only other thing I could do to adjust this would be maybe to cut off these tailpipes, cut the exhaust pipes at the axle or just before the axle. Yeah, that would be solid, so you could sand that smooth and you wouldn't see those. And then dump the mufflers like right in this area, put down turns or something, or just leave them open from there, from that point. Or I could just delete the exhaust pipes, go with the headers, and just have the headers dumping back here. I could do that. I haven't made up my mind yet, but that's a little update. We need to get over to the paint booth. All of this needs to be primed up, and we're going to go from there. Now, I am kind of in the mood to experiment a little bit. I watched a channel, I can't remember the name of it. I'll post it down at the bottom of the video here. But this channel used a product that I kind of fell in love with. And what he did, and I'm not going to do it exactly the way he did it, but I'm going to replicate it as best as I can. He used Rust-Oleum 2X gloss black on an actual 1/1 car fender he had hanging on a wall. And after he shot that gloss black, he shot this mica powder pigment over top of it, and he shot the bronze and the cherry over top of that. He mixed it in with his clear, and then he shot it on that Rust-Oleum 2X gloss black, and it looked just fantastic. It gave it the kind of a black cherry metallic look, which I found to be very likable. Let me open this up here. I opened up one end, I didn't open up the other. I just kind of wanted to poke my head in there and see what the powders look like. So I got this off the Jungle website. 24 packets of different color pigments. You have aquamarine, a whole bunch of different colors. Pink, black pearl, silver, green pearl, cherry. This is the cherry he shot, mixed in this clear, shot it over that black, and it looked fantastic. And I want to do it. I want to do it, and I'm thinking about doing it with this car here. I think it'll turn out just fantastic. Now, he did, oh, blue pearl. That looks nice. He did use 2K clear, which I am not going to do. I know a lot of you guys out there believe in the 2K, and I love the results you get from it. But honestly, I'm shooting in a home-built spray paint booth inside of my home. It's not in the garage. It's not in a pole barn. It's not in a shed. It's inside a room in my home. And I know, because I have been exposed to the use of 2K, I know that I cannot shoot that inside of my home. It will just flood the whole house with that strong smell. And my wife is very sensitive to strong smells, as well as my daughter. So I am not going to spray that in my house. And it's that time of year where you can't really effectively spray it outdoors. It's windy. It's got a ton of leaves in the air, and other things just blowing around. And so I'm going to have to use an alternative. I have a couple of different clears here I can use. I've got this here. I have not used this yet on a build, but I was told by the company, I contacted DecoArt, and they said that, yeah, you can cut that with just plain water and shoot it, because it is an acrylic. I can shoot it. This stuff is super shiny when you use it straight, so I don't know if I cut it, if it will retain all of its shine, but I can give that a try as well. I'm thinking about putting it over this gloss paint, Shortcuts, Krylon Shortcuts Black. Thinking about shooting that with this, and then putting this cherry over top of it. I really loved the way the cherry looked over top of that black when he did it. And he did the bronze too. Where is the bronze? He did the bronze over that too. So both of them looked very good. I really like the cherry. But I'm seeing a couple other colors in here that I'm thinking about using, and I probably will in the future. I've also been kicking around the idea of experimenting a little bit and shooting this gold leaf metallic over something, and then shooting one of these colors over top of that mixed in with the clear. I saw a guy way back when I was in the Navy. I'd only been in the Navy a few years, and this guy had brought his Corvette over to what they called the auto hobby shop. Most military bases have those, and what they are is like a full service garage. They have everything you need in there to do anything you want, and you are the mechanic. So you bring in the car, you pay a fee to rent the booth or the lift to work on your own car. Well, this particular one was in at the naval base in Charleston, South Carolina, which is no longer there. But at this auto hobby shop, they had a professional spray paint booth to paint your cars in. And like I said, this guy brought in his Corvette. He spent several weeks prepping this car, getting that body as straight and as smooth as possible. He layered down his sealer and primer coats and all that stuff. Then he went with a gold, and then he went candy brandywine over the gold. And that paint looked like it was a foot deep. Shine, oh, it was just beautiful. And he had it parked outside one day, letting the sun kind of cure the paint a little bit or something. I don't know why he had it sitting out there. But some guy pulled up next to it, he parked next to it, and he got out and he banged the side of that Corvette with his car door. And he put a big mark on that door, and I thought there was going to be a death right there on the spot. The owner of that Corvette just went crazy on that guy because he mucked up the paint job. I think, now this was in 1985, I want to say. And the guy told me he had over $2,000 in paints that he used on that car. You think about it, 1985, over $2,000 he spent on the paint for this car. I don't know what brand or anything else about the paint. I just saw the steps of the paint jobs, and he put a lot of work into that thing, and it took about 2 seconds to get ruined by this non-caring person that just whipped the door open and into this Corvette. I don't know what ever happened after that, but I really felt sorry for the guy because that Corvette just, it looks so beautiful. So I would love to do something along that lines. I don't have brandywine color pigment powders, but the cherry looks good. And I'm thinking, I don't know if there's another reddish color in here that I could use to simulate a brandywine, because that's more of a maroonish and a cherry. Dark purple, that's not going to do it. Yeah, I don't have anything that would be close to it, but I could get a little closer to it with this cherry. So anyway, enough blabbering. Let's get over to the paint booth. Let's get some primer laid down. And yeah, I'm thinking about doing the black with the cherry on it with this GTO. It's going to be experimental. It may work. It may not work. I don't know at this point, but we're going to give it a try. So let's get started on that paint booth, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright fellas, I had mentioned previously that I was going to put these extensions on the rear axle, and after doing so I looked at this and decided that it just jacked that rear end up too far. So what I've decided to do is take those back off, and I re-drilled the holes, but I re-drilled the holes lower than the original holes. So it does lift the back end just ever so slightly, but not as high as those extensions did. In doing so, I discovered that the control arms here no longer reach the alignment pins, nor did the axle sit down on those blocks correctly. I'm still going to have to deal with the exhaust system. It's hanging too low and it looks ridiculous. But what I ended up having to do is snip these control arms and put spacers in there. Now it looks horrible right now, but and I'm waiting for the glue to fully cure. Once it sets, I'm going to shape those, and hopefully you won't be able to see the difference. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That I can get that shaped all the same, and that it'll look normal and right. And then going to go in and finish painting. I don't want to be, I don't want to have a silver rear axle. It's going to be painted black and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where we are right now. I've still got to do some detail painting on this chassis, the front lower control arms, and the frame I want to do in black, and I still got a lot to do on that, but just test fitting everything, trying to get everything lined up. I actually went through and, whoa, yeah, that's going to stay in there. I had to, after I drilled the hole and put the axle in there for alignment purposes, I had to take a file, my round file here, and file in. See if I can pop this off of here. There we go. Just had to file this out a little bit right here, just to give it a little bit, because it was in this area here and here and even down in here. It was too tight to allow that axle to sit down in there all the way, and it was causing one side to be a little higher than the other. And once I got that all filed out, everything sat right down to where it's supposed to be. So it's still just a little bit not fully dry yet, and I can still manipulate it a little. So there we are. Once that all sets up, I'm going to go in and sandpaper it and whatever else I need to do to get that shape back in there, and that's it. Now we still got a lot more to do. I'm in between the coats of paint on the body, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. And then who knows where else we'll be. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Well, I've got a big mess on my workspace here, but I wanted to show you guys what I've done so far. Now I just got done talking about what I was going to do with this rear suspension, and here it is. What I ended up having to do after splicing that, and that didn't work out as well as I thought it was going to. I'm gonna have to fix that. I did manage to get the exhaust pipes where I kind of wanted them. All I did was warm them up a little bit and shape them. They sit up tight to the body now, a little bit too tight, but it's better than it was. I'm going with the stock tires here for the fronts, and I will be just popping those on for now. Come on, get on there. You were on there earlier. Doggone you. Okay. And instead of going with the stock tires, I'm going to go with these Race Master slicks on the back end of this. Now once I glue the wheels together, these will fit a little tighter. But just to give you an idea of the stance, let me adjust the camera down a little bit. It's a little bit raked in the back, but not overly done. I think with leaving those blocks in there, it would have been overdone. And this here gives it just enough of a pickup in the back end here that the slicks is going to really kind of set that all off. So there we go with the chassis. Now we got quite a bit more to do yet, like I said earlier, and let's get started on that.
Alright fellas, I've got it this far. I got the interior installed, the windows installed, almost all the bare metal foil done. I thought I was finished. I got the engine mounted in the chassis and everything. I put the chassis in the body and then realized I didn't do the wheel arches. So I pulled it all excuse me, pulled it all back apart and got to do the wheel arches, and we'll be on to the final. Welcome to the final on this 1967 Pontiac GTO by MPC. Well, fellas, are the rumors true? Is this kit as bad as the critics say that it is? For once, I may have to agree with them on some level. Is it the worst kit that I've ever built? No, but at the same time, it isn't the best either. So let's break it down. Here's what I discovered while building this kit. Let's start with the front and rear bumpers. They are very ill-fitting, and by that I mean they're terrible. The plastic above the front bumper and grille has to be ground down enough so that the tops of the headlights meet with the underside of the fender housings, flush there. The rear bumper, on the other hand, has two tabs that stick up from the top of the back side of the bumper, and those are supposed to fit against the rear tail, with the tail lights. You try to put that in there, and it pushes the bottom of the bumper away from the body. The only way I could figure to fix that was to snip off those little tabs and then go ahead and mount the bumper flush against the quarter panels like it should be. I found that that was the only way to fix it. Otherwise it would push out and just look stupid. Next up is the underhood features. They're quite lacking as well. And the firewall sits way too far back, leaving a huge gap behind the engine. And speaking of the engine, the way it mounts to the chassis isn't the best either. Forget about attaching the drive shaft to the transmission. It just doesn't work. The transmission doesn't have an output shaft housing that would normally fit, lay on top of the cross member. So you have to basically attach the back of the transmission to the forward-facing edge of the cross member. That leaves about 1/8 of an inch gap between the drive shaft and the back of the transmission. Moving back from the transmission, we come to the rear differential cover. It too is very, very ill-fitting on its mounts, and its attempts at hiding the metal axle is a joke. The holes provided from the mold allow the rear end to sit too low and require some alteration to get a proper looking ride height. The provided extenders that come with the kit, they cause more problems by raising the rear end too much, and then the differential cover and exhaust pipes were it just didn't sit right, and it didn't look right once you got it in position. So I removed the extenders and I drilled new holes so that I could use the Race Master racing slicks. That kind of set the look for this car. It just gives it that 60s and 70s rake like it should have, and it really looks good. Now, for what I think is the worst part of this kit, it's the hood. As like the grille, it required a bit of adjustment as well. The two awkward angled arms that are attached in place of hinges are shaped in a way that required me to file a notch at the base of the hood using my jeweler's files, and I also had to remove a little bit of plastic on the bottom of those arms so that they would fit into the holes of the firewall and allow me to push the hood all the way back to the front edge of the cowl, so you didn't have a big gap there as well. So the only other option is to avoid all of that mess is to snip the arms off the hood. But there isn't any support along the fenders or the firewall to hold the hood from falling inside the engine compartment. The only way to avoid that is to add some plastic strip on the underside of the hood, underside of the fenders and the cowl to kind of give a little lip for the hood to sit on. So once all these obstacles are overcome, the actual final build of this car looks pretty good. If you don't look into all of the detractors from it. Now, if you follow me on Facebook, you probably seen my post about the failed paint that I did on this kit. It was supposed to be gloss black base with cherry mica powder mixed into the clear coat. For whatever reason, the mica powder gathered in blotches all over the body. Now, all of the painted surfaces were prepped properly and were cleaned prior to me spraying the clear coat on there. I have no idea why the mica powder created this odd pattern, but it kind of grew on me after a couple of days because I was thinking about stripping it, and I just kind of let it set for a little bit, and I kept looking at it, and it kind of grew on me. So after my post on Facebook, a lot of guys just said, hey, it's a unique paint job and you should go for it. And I did, and thank you guys for that suggestion. So I added another coat of clear, just straight clear on it. Let that set for about 36 hours, and then I polished it, and you guys see the end result here. Well, another kit is done. What do you guys think about it? I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. It helps the YouTube algorithm to share my content, which helps the channel grow. If you have any comments, put them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to respond as soon as possible. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, or you can drop me a line at scaleautoguy@gmail.com. If you want more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button below, and make sure to hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching Scale Auto Guy's Workbench, and I'll see you on the next build.